Disney Channel has been the home to some of the best television animation in recent history, but Gravity Falls was a league of its own. The show only consisted of 2 seasons, along with some bonus content, but it was a hit with fans, and it left a lasting impression due to its memorable and deep characters. This small town in the middle of Oregon has been the home of some of our favorite people, but in a place where the weird thrives, who is the most good and who is irredeemable? Hey guys, I'm Brad with WickedBinge, and this is Gravity Falls, Good to Evil.
If you enter, you may be subjected to my tales.
As usual, we'll be starting with the most pure and working our way down. These characters are the good. Starting with the most good, we're gonna put Waddles. Waddles is Mabel's pet pig, and the two are inseparable ever since she won him at a local carnival.
Everything is different now.
Being a pig unable to talk, we can only assume he's a simple creature who just imitates Mabel, but we're given a glimpse when he was caught up in Dipper's experiment. When Waddles gains higher intelligence and is able to communicate, he's still the same adorable creature as before. He even decides to go back to how he had been before, being close with Mabel again, valuing their friendship.
It's a good thing I built in a dum-dum switch.
The silver medal of good goes to Suze, the shack's handyman.
Today I'm sweating from heat and excitement. Whew.
The guy radiates care for everyone he comes in contact with. He does have a lot of moments where he tends to say or do the wrong thing.
We'll find our way. Trust me.
His behavior isn't socially acceptable, but he has a good heart. He grew to think of the Pines as his family, showing absolute loyalty to Stan and only putting the kids before the founder of the Mystery Shack, restraining him once the kids found the portal and stating his job was to protect them. When he found out Mabel and Dipper were willing to give him the prize from the Time Baby, he used it to fix them up instead.
I know who my family is now, and it's you dudes.
His thinking saved them on more than one occasion, from avoiding pterodactyls to taking on Bill. Truly a great friend to have. Coming in third, we have to place Mabel. Known for her love of stickers, glitter, and well, pretty much everything, she is pretty expressive, taking up any hobby that gives her an excuse to make something. She's been supportive of her brother as much as he's been supportive of her.
For Mabel, guys!
For Mabel!
She's the one that makes sure that people don't take life too seriously and makes an effort to keep Dipper from growing up too quickly. She put aside her rivalry with Pacifica to save the girl from demise at the miniature golf course and worked hard to help her grunkle Stan and her brother's love lives. She cares a lot about being seen as the sweet young lady she strives to be. She can stray now and then, but she always comes through and does the right thing.
Oh, is someone talking right now? Because I can't hear them!
This next one may surprise some people, but we're gonna put the infamous Mr. Mystery Stan Pines next. He's a con man, a shady business owner, and someone who thrives on the idiocy of the masses. So why is Stan Pines so high on our list? I mean, the guy faked his own death and took his brother's identity, so what makes him so good? He himself admits that there are plenty of bad things people could say about him.
For once, being a liar and a cheat paid off.
But the fact is, he gave up his identity to be able to fix the portal and get his brother back. And how many men would take on a pterodactyl to save his niece's pet pig? He saved Dipper and Mabel from Gideon and was the one to take out Bill, even though he knew his memory would get wiped.
We did it!
What? Did what?
Next, we have Wendy Cordero. She's a laid-back teen that works in the shack as a summer job and is an eventual one-sided love interest to Dipper.
I love you.
She loses points for trying to take advantage of Mabel not wanting to run the shack the way Stan had, but gains a lot of hero points for her help during Weirdmageddon. She was welcoming to the teens, and though she didn't have the best work ethic, she stepped up to aid on adventures. She gave Mabel dating advice and had a heart-to-heart conversation with Dipper when he finally confessed to her.
Friends?
Yeah, dude, friends.
And really, who could forget her flipping out of a man's grip and breaking his arm so they could save Mabel from Bill? Mason, better known as Dipper, is next. Now, Dipper does a lot just so he can impress Wendy, or so he can learn about the author of the journals. But he's also a good brother and would do anything for Mabel, even if he winds up embarrassing himself in the process.
Look what I found!
He gave reverse CPR to Mermando, helped with the romantic sock opera, encouraged the family to go miniature golfing to cheer up his sister, and he helped to get McGucket's memories back.
After all these years, I finally know who I am.
He turned down Ford's apprenticeship to stay with Mabel in California during their school year, and though he led Candy on, he did man up and apologize for the way he behaved. And of course, it was him and his sister who got Bill to chase them long enough for Ford and Stan to have a plan on how to defeat him for good. Next up is Deputy Durland and Sheriff Blubbs. Seems only right to put these lovebirds together.
The time we spend together is treasure enough.
Now, there's some that refuse to believe that these two are indeed a couple, but based on their interactions together, we have to disagree. Neither man is the smartest bulb in the box, but whereas most cartoon law enforcement teams have the comedy relief and the angry guy, these two don't mind the other's antics. We dock them points because they aren't the best at their jobs, are easily tricked, and they're taking extra time to tease Dipper when he insists on solving Wax Stan's murder.
How about you leave the investigating to the grown-ups?
But the way they call each other a ray of sunshine in each other's lives can warm your heart. We're gonna put the Great McGucket up next.
Quit staring at me when I bathe!
Now, the only reason he's placed this low is due to the chaos he creates before he gains Mabel and Dipper's help. It's hard to blame him when he said all he wanted was to spend time with his own son, who had refused to be associated with him. It's later revealed that he was the engineer that worked for Ford to help make the portal, and he ultimately helped the founding of the Blind Eye Society. When he did obtain his memories, he still had a lot of gaps, but simply thanked the kids for helping him.
You kids helped me get my memories back, just like you said.
He recognized that he wasn't always a good person, but he could still make an effort to be one. It was due to his genius that they converted the Mystery Shack into a weapon to help defeat Bill, and even after his fame and success in the end, he was still a humble man.
Well, I've moved in.
As for our next placement, we're gonna put Candy and Grenda.
I'm Grenda. This is Candy.
They quickly become close friends with Mabel, and generally behave like preteen girls. They have sleepovers, gush over their favorite bands, and are supportive of one another. They helped gather Candy on Summerween, helped free several times from their evil manager, and provided help for Mabel while finding a unicorn. They can be a little too energetic at times, but we aren't gonna rank them low for that.
Probably forever!
Next, we're gonna place Lazy Susan. Susan is a waitress at Greasy's and was a temporary love interest to Stan. She's a friendly older woman who almost always has a smile on her face.
Maybe. Wink.
She can be a little suffocating towards anyone she's dating. She left various messages for Stan, all of them dragging on far too long, when she insisted her cats each say hello individually.
Hi! My cat also wanted to say hi.
But her heart is always in the right place. Next is Melody, the girl Suze started dating. We don't see much of her, but she was the only woman Suze found it easy to interact with due to her laid-back personality.
Are you ready for a date?
Despite being the object of hatred for a dating game, she was quick to roll with the punches and forgave Suze for the madness. Tyler Cute Biker is next, mostly known as the Get 'em guy. He's eventually elected mayor when Stan is unable to take the position, and though there isn't much shown about him, it's worth mentioning him. He's typically seen as encouraging and sweet, easily influenced by whatever exciting thing is happening at that moment.
Oh, what is that new thing?
We're giving him points for trying to stand up to Bill when the demon first introduces himself to the town. Next, we have Quinton Trimbley III, the forgotten president of the United States. He's known for being different in his methods.
We will leap through it. Almost.
He wasn't the smartest man, making weird choices like placing babies in Congress and riding horses backwards, but we'll hand it to him. He does have a strange charisma that explains why he made it to office in the first place.
This is worthless. It's less than worthless, my boy.
We're briefly gonna mention Marius, the boy Grenda began dating towards the end of the series. We can't say much about him, but he stood out as the only young man in attendance that enjoyed Grenda's company.
There's something about you. I can't get you out of my head.
He came off as polite, sweet, and approachable. Though Grenda seemed to be exhausted with his frequent messages at times. And this is where we've decided to end the good section. We now enter the neutral territory. This is the gray area. And the first character in the gray area is Mermando. Once thought to be a kid who refused to leave the pool, he grows close to Mabel and reveals how he wound up there.
Would you care to join me in a game of the
Marco Polo?
He was a brief love interest, sending frequent messages in bottles until he had revealed he was set up in an arranged marriage.
Arranged wedding? Queen of the manatees?
We're gonna put the Multibear up next. Dipper was sent to defeat him, but he ended up being too nice. Sure, he's a bear with multiple heads on his body, and that is, pretty terrifying. But he only requested to die to his favorite song when Dipper overpowered him.
I wish to die listening to my favorite song.
The two realized they had a lot in common, both feeling rejected over enjoying things like Baba, and this creature proved to not be a threat. At least not to the Pines family or the town. Manly Dan was hard to place. Dan is Wendy's father, and he's one of those manly men. Large and in charge. He's always finding ways to show off his strength. It's amusing to see that his large stature can be a liability in his own home, with him constantly ramming into things. A single father, he's proven to adore all of his children, quickly embracing them once they were all together again. Next, we're gonna place Kraz and Zyler, Mabel's Dreamboys.
You can look, but you can't touch.
They were a little tricky to place. Since they're part of Mabel's mind and act how she thinks Dreamboys should, they're always quick to put her on a pedestal or arm throne thing and take her side in a fight.
We must be in heaven, 'cause I just saw an angel.
They were most prominent when she was holding the trial against Dipper for mentioning the real world in her bubble, but were also present during their initial interaction with Bill and Stan's mind. They are a support of upbeat energy, so for that, we had to place them here. Abuelita is next. Now, spying on people isn't the best pastime, but we can understand why she worries for Suze. She knew more than anyone how hurt he was by his father not showing up and encouraged him to forget the man and focus on his own happiness.
Trust me, you will feel better one day.
Her comment on her husband not being in heaven makes you wonder what she's been through and what secrets she knows about.
No, he is not there.
The boy band, several times, is next. Now, what can we say about these guys? They have absolutely no idea how the world works.
Yo, we're clones, dog!
That's both hilarious and exhausting to think about. But we rank them this high because once they were free, they were incredibly loyal to Mabel and her friends.
Things just got pretty heavy, Mabel. Maybe we should all just, chill for a minute.
We even see them show up again to help power the Mystery Shack when it's turned into a robot. Real stand-up guys. Toby Determined is next on our ranking. Toby is a journalist, and he's seen as one of the more unsettling residents, simply because it's hard to place the vibe he lets off.
Now it's time to pay your end of the bargain.
He's not malicious, but he's definitely done some stuff that qualifies as creepy, like dancing with a cutout of a local reporter, but he's never shown to attack people or purposely make anyone's life worse.
Boy, I'd be pretty embarrassed if I was you two.
We're going to briefly mention Tad Strange. He's basically known for his one-liners through the show, I like bread, and this moment will forever scar Tad Strange, being the most well-known.
Loving you, Tad.
And I love bread.
He's mostly used for comedic purposes, being that one normal guy in the room, since he doesn't do much to stand out and always has some creepy grin on his face. Alright, this is gonna cause a little conflict, but we're placing Ford Pines next. Now, Ford loses a lot of points for a few reasons. He was tricked by Bill and built the portal in the first place, despite Fiddleford insisting they destroy it.
Destroy it before it destroys us all!
He refused to talk to his twin for years over a misunderstanding involving a science fair project, and when he did reach out to Stan, it was to ask him to take his research far away, when the less selfish thing would have been to simply destroy it.
Bury it where no one can find it.
And the first thing he did after coming back was punch his twin, reluctant to thank Stan for fixing the portal and allowing him to return. We can appreciate his conflict later when Stan offers to lose his memories and trick Bill, and we were all relieved when Ford suggested they finally sail the world together.
I want it to be you. Will you give me a second chance?
But threatening to shoot a man for not letting Mabel's pig on the bus? That's a little extreme. The Love God is next.
Who's ready to fall in love tonight?
Now, we know that deciding who falls in love isn't the hardest job out there, but it isn't the easiest job either. He does take his job at least somewhat seriously, but we place him low because he was quick to get angry, and his frustration he gave up, telling Mabel to do as she wished so he could perform on stage.
You want to play God? Do it!
That negligence could have backfired. Next, we have Robbie. He dated Wendy for a while and was a rival to Dipper. He may have been voiced by TJ Miller, but that does not make Robbie as lovable as Tough Nut or Fred.
Oh no, you're not getting off that easy.
He thrived on picking on people, especially Dipper, and resorted to trickery to get Wendy to fall for him again. The fact that he used a mind-controlling song on Wendy is the main reason he fell so low. We will give him credit for making some sort of peace with Dipper after the fighting incident.
We need to learn to just hate each other in silence.
We're gonna place Philbrook Pines and the Mrs. next. Parents to Stan and Ford, they were an odd sort. One of them was a fraud telephone psychic, and the other was a man never impressed.
I'm not impressed.
Philbrook was the one who threw Stan out, demanding he never come back until he could make the money Ford would have made.
And until you make us a fortune, you're not welcome in this household.
That is harsh enough to give them a low rank, but we also want to give the commentary that if one child was problematic enough to damage their sibling's future, many parents would react the same way. Pacifica had to be placed low on our grayscale. For obvious reasons. She's temperamental, has everything handed to her, and was quick to pick on Mabel.
That sounds like a fat old lady's name.
We're placing her here because, while she is a spoiled brat, she does slowly warm up to the Pines family, and it's revealed that every aspect of her life is controlled.
Go change! But I kind of like it.
She swallows her pride enough to ask Dipper for help, and when she finds out why the family's being haunted, she puts an end to it. She still places way too much on status by the end of the series, but the character development we do see with her is satisfying.
You're only going to have one pony now.
The Manatars are up next. We had to include them. They helped Dipper after sensing he had emotional turmoil and were quick to train him on how to be a man.
We have decided to help you become a man!
Their tactics were pretty hazardous, and they never should have let a small boy go and take on the Multibear. But everything they did was done in tradition. They made Dipper perform those trials because it was how they were brought up, and they did believe it was the proper method. Tough call, but we're gonna place Preston Northwest next. This guy is a terrible man and father. He never participates in anything to cheer his daughter up in person, claiming they can read about her victory after she wins. He refused to allow the public into the party, even when it was the only way to stop the haunting, and he trains his daughter as if she were a dog.
Yes, father.
Just all around not a pleasant man. Gabe Benson was one of those unfortunate romances that earned a very low ranking. The guy made his life all about performing with sock puppets and was a self-proclaimed diva.
Hey, be good to each other. We're all stars.
He was quick to brush off Mabel when she chose saving her brother over saving her show, and we will forever remember him as the guy who made out with his hand puppets.
Let's go, my loves.
Blandin is next. Once this guy opens his mouth and you realize he's voiced by Justin Roiland, you just know he's gonna be chaotic.
Who told you that? Memory wipe?
His own carelessness resulted in the kids being able to use his watch to time travel, but he hated the children for his misfortune. He challenged them to a match where they could be killed, and then ridiculed them for wasting it on Suze. We will give him some credit, since after seeing Bill rise to power, his first reaction was to get Time Baby and the Time Police, but overall, he comes off as a coward.
My body is a temple! How dare you!
We're now going to call the rest of the ranking the worst of the worst. Welcome to the evil side of Gravity Falls. We're gonna put Bud first in this section. Much like Preston, he's a lousy husband and father. He indulges his child too much and neglects his wife to the point that when we see her, she looks like she's in the middle of a panic attack.
Just keep backing in. Just keep backing in.
The man was willing to join forces with the Mystery Shack, only if Stan signed over Mabel like she was property, and lived to con the public with either the Tinto telepathy or with his car lot.
Learn about tomorrow tonight.
Bud's son, Gideon, is next. Mabel's had a lot of fleeting romances, but Gideon was like a lingering sickness you couldn't shake. He lured people into a false sense of security with his cuteness, and then took power once he had them wrapped around his finger.
I love that child's psychic so much!
It's actually a little terrifying how well he was able to influence people and convince them to do his bidding. He set up spy equipment on the residents of Gravity Falls, tried stealing the Mystery Shack, tried killing Mabel and Dipper, and allowed Mabel to be imprisoned when Bill claimed she would eventually fall for him. We can only say a few things on his behalf. He eventually helped to save Mabel in spite of his fear of Bill and was a key player in taking the demon down. The Lillaputchians are next. Little creatures running a mini-golf course shouldn't be as dangerous as these guys ended up being. And all over getting a sticker that claimed whichever clan was best? It was bad enough they were willing to cheat, but the moment they all rallied to cut Mabel's stomach open for the sticker was when they fell from grace.
We could cut open her belly and get the sticker!
We're putting the wax beings next. Trying to kill Stan, chasing around children, and trying to murder them when they got in the way.
The truth. And now we're going to bury you.
Not exactly stuff that makes you an upstanding citizen. Some of their resentment makes sense as no one likes being pushed away and forgotten, but that doesn't justify murder. The bronze medal of evil goes to Ergman Bradaman, the man who kept several times in place with slave treatment. Not only did this man make the band members perform like circus animals and reap all the benefit, but he kept them ignorant of the real world and had clones on standby to keep his easy ride going. He was only concerned with making his own life as cushy as possible, no matter who he had to step on. We have to give our silver medal to Blind Ivan and the Society of the Blind Eye. They claimed they were protectors, but in all honesty, they were just power hungry.
Everyone has something they'd rather forget.
They concealed the town's secrets by wiping memories left and right, rather than finding a different solution. They refused to acknowledge McGucket, even though the man basically founded the group, and they had no issues wiping clean the minds of innocent children.
Say goodbye to your summer.
The most evil character should be no shocker. We had the ever-amazing and terrifying Bill Cipher. We'll give a small acknowledgement to his crew of fellow demons, but let's be real, Bill could do all that damage solo if he wanted.
Ready to cause some havoc, boys?
He's likely one of the best villains in animated history, using his charm and know-how to get people to do as he pleased, from possessing Dipper to trying to force the journal from Mabel. We'll say this, he does technically follow through on his promises, but the amount of chaos he does in the meantime does not help his reputation. Threatening to tear children apart by their molecules, turning people into stone, allowing some of his followers to eat people, Bill has a long list of crimes that is hard to stop. But we will say we love him for it. But what do you think? Who's the most evil character in Gravity Falls? Let us know in the comment section. Don't forget to hit that notification bell and binge our Good to Evil playlist, where we break down the morality of the characters from your favorite cartoons, shows, and movies. But most importantly, stay wicked.